up as well. Okay. Yes, okay. Ah, okay, good. Sorry, I'm live twice now. Hi. Okay, so we are jumping into today's episode. We're going to be talking about how practices for getting rid of our self-criticisms, which is really hard to do. It's a continual struggle, at least for me, and I think probably pretty commonly for everybody. Um, and last time we talked about that full self acceptance and self love in the most healthiest kind of love that you can give yourself is going to be without self criticism, because essentially self criticism is something that holds us back enormously in so many different ways, and a lot to do with what holds us back in our personal growth. And so to kind of retrain this default of self-criticism in different areas of our life, in the different areas where we want to be growing, we're going to kind of go back to some of the exercises that we've already talked about in other episodes, but then we're going to build on those. So we talked about mirror work before, but it's just essentially that like convicting conversation with yourself, that you are really telling yourself, like, okay, what is the truth? Like, this is the truth, and I'm not going to let myself believe these negative things about myself. And so we're going to just do a little mirror practice. And it's good because right now, like doing this together, this will also kind of give you a checkup. If you were in the other live episode or watched the recording before the old episodes where we did this together, you'll be able to see your growth and see the change of like how comfortable you feel with doing this with me right now. And otherwise, you'll just get some awareness. Hey, thanks. Thanks for the likes. So I want you to just be, even though this is kind of strange, like I want you to just be really honest with yourself, and I want you to say this to yourself right now. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. And I want you to see, how does that feel when you say that? And even say it out loud to yourself. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. Does that feel weird? Does it feel like it's not true? Does it feel easier maybe than before, if you've done it with me before in the past? Is it easier since some of the forgiveness work that we've done in the other past episode from a week or two ago? Does it feel better at all, and in what way? Or what way is it still feeling awkward in your body, or just for yourself to say that I love and approve of myself exactly as I am? And sometimes that's a big pill to swallow, like, oh, like there's still so many things I want to improve upon, but you're allowed to say that anyway. And you can love yourself as you are, approve of yourself as you are, know that you're doing the best you can, and that you are growing, right? And you're accepting that you're growing. So using that mirror work and that self-affirmation, Louise Hay had explained in her book that in her days before, when she was in struggling with her own self-denial, so much so that she even admitted that she slapped herself in the face because she was like so just like down on herself and frustrated with herself, and she wasn't loving and accepting herself. And so she, at that time, she explained that her own lack of limitations were stronger than anyone else could say. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever felt a sense of self-loathing because you were so angry at yourself or at a situation, or you were so upset that though you wanted to be comforted and other people were trying to be there for you, you couldn't believe like what they were trying to encourage you with. You couldn't believe what they were saying, that good thing about you, because you were so frustrated with your own self, and you just couldn't believe that positive thing for yourself. So I don't know if you relate with that ever. She said that for her, if someone told her that she was loved, her immediate reaction was like, why would you what would you possibly see in me? Because she was feeling so um, disheartened with herself. And I want you to question, maybe it's not that extreme, maybe you are able to believe like that you are lovable, but are there things in your life in any area where you have conditioned yourself to reject any positive thing that someone might say to you about that thing of you, right? Even a compliment, right? Even if have you conditioned yourself to reject compliments, whether that's on how you look that day, or that they've noticed a change, like you're getting more fit or in shape, or else just that that outfit looks good on you and it makes you look as if you were more fit and in shape, or your hair looks good, right? Like all these little things that really are surface level, but they really make a difference of what we feel about ourselves. And so, are there any areas or things specifically about you that you've conditioned yourself to reject when someone tells you something positive about that thing? Um, and she says that all good in our lives begins with what with the things about and within ourself, and loving that self that is inside of us. And it can take quite some time, quite a long time, to develop a peaceful, loving relationship with ourselves. But the question is, are you willing to? Are you willing to take that time to change those old conditioned thoughts and your relationship with yourself? So for Louise Hay, she said that this process looked like, first, hunting for the little things about herself that she thought were good qualities. And then this helped her health even to start improving. She said that, and this was really important, and I've made some connections of my own with this. And she said that good health begins with loving the self. So to so and not only loving the self, but also prosperity and love and creative self-expression. And later, she also learned that once she loved and approved of all the parts of herself, that even those qualities that she thought weren't good enough started to improve and get better. And it makes sense to me because I was reflecting on this of how does loving ourselves and accepting ourselves directly affect our health? Well, if you love and accept yourself, then you're going to lower your anxiety, the amount of anxiety you experience, and it's going to help, which then will also help your body just like have a different approach in state of being, because if you are not loving and accepting yourself, you're going to be worked up, right? And so, but if you are loving and accepting yourself, you're going to feel more peaceful, you're going to feel more accepting of circumstances that come up as they come up, and like, well, like it's okay, you know, like you just work through it, right? And that will also allow your adrenal glands and your nervous system all to respond to stress in a more efficient way. And then you're also going to improve with that your blood flow and your heart health as a consequence, and then even the quality of your breathing and even your skin, right? When we get stressed, we can get breakouts, or even just that general happiness and joy from loving yourself is also going to give you a glow to your skin, right? Like you notice that people who are just so happy, like they look better overall, right? And you're going to feel better, but directly to all of your health systems, right? And even your allowance for freedom of self-expression can help alleviate suppressed tension in your body, and probably even related to headaches or and other things that are kind of tension related. And then it'll also again improve the quality of your breath. And when you breathe deeper and you're improving oxygen flow, in your body, in that oxygen intake and the way that it's processed, and it, breathing deeper affects the way and amount through of which it circulates through your body, which causes your body to have to work less because you're allowing more to come into, you're helping your body circulate that oxygen. And then, and all of that before you exhale, it's just circulating all throughout your body. And then you're gonna have a better brain function, you're gonna have an improved nervous system, and also you're gonna live longer overall. So I just, with those reflections, I was like, she's right. Like, it does directly, our sense of self-acceptance and self-love does affect our health directly. So this is the exercise that she's given for approving of yourself. And she said that she's given this exercise to hundreds of people, and the results are phenomenal. And for, so this is the challenge, okay? That I would also, I'm going to be doing this with you guys because I also struggle with this as well. So the challenge is for the next month. So going into February with Valentine's, I want you to focus on loving yourself, right? And so for the next month, we're going to do this challenge together to repeat over and over to ourselves every day, I approve of myself. That's it. I approve of myself. And you just repeat that over and over again. And do this, she said, 300 to 400 times a day. Because, and at least that much. And you might think like that's too many times, or that's kind of like not even possible. But when we're worrying about something, we go over that problem, even subconsciously or in parts and little bits and pieces, at least that many times. And so that's just us, like, repeating that over and over again to ourselves, I approve myself, will then counteract all of those negative thoughts. It'll soothe the worries, and it will help us to improve our and decrease our amount of self-criticism and improve our self-acceptance and self-love. And so basically we're taking this I approve of myself as a kind of walking daily mantra to say to ourselves nonstop. And you might ask, like, well, okay, well, what is this going to do? What's going to happen? And she says, and I am positive of this, that she guarantees that saying I approve of myself is guaranteed to bring up everything that is buried within your consciousness that is in opposition to you approving of yourself. Because just like we did at the start earlier, that we were seeing how that felt to say I love and approve of myself exactly as I am, and then to see what comes up. So if you're saying I approve of myself all day, throughout the day, every day, then that's going to bring up a lot of stuff, that your negative thoughts that are countering the ability to approve of yourself. And that's going to bring those things to your conscious, and then you're going to be able to allow yourself to release those things, those negative thoughts and negative beliefs, and you're going to become aware of those negative beliefs that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise made themselves like obvious to you, right? And you still would have had those buried, but doing this is going to force them to come up. So when the negative thoughts come up, like, how can I approve of myself if I'm not actually implementing the changes that and habits that I want to? Or maybe you might have a thought come up like, well, or how can I approve of myself when I still want to improve X, Y, or Z? Or how can I approve of myself when I always end up messing something up? So anything, any negative thought, whatever negative chatter comes up in your mind, I want you to then use that opportunity to take the mental control of that thought and give it no importance. Just see it for what it is, and have it be and acknowledge it as another way to just keep you stuck in the past. But you don't have to let it. And I want you to gently say to these thoughts, that's okay. I let it go anyway, and I approve of myself. And so you just acknowledge those negative thoughts, say, okay, but that's okay. And I let that go, and I approve of myself anyway. You know, like, it just, do it anyway. Approve of yourself. And even considering doing this exercise can bring up a lot of stuff. Like you're like, oh, like, well, that feels really silly, or it doesn't feel true, like, and I don't feel comfortable saying it, or maybe you just straight up are feeling like that's a lie. I don't approve of myself, or maybe you feel like it makes you seem prideful or conceited or something like that. And I just want you to let all of these thoughts just pass through. These are only thoughts that are resistance to the change that you are trying to create, a change of loving and accepting yourself. And so they don't have any power over you unless you choose to let them have power over you. And it's just allowing yourself to be you, be yourself, rather than identify with these negative thoughts. Just as they come up, observe them and remind yourself, I approve of myself. I approve of myself. I approve of myself. That's it. No matter what happens, no matter who says what to you, no matter who does what to you, just keep it going. You know what? I still approve of myself. I approve of myself. And in fact, whenever you can say that to yourself, when something happens that is someone else's doing or someone else saying something to you to affect you, and you can still say, I approve of myself, then that will let you know that you're growing and changing already. And the power of you accepting yourself is coming up and showing up in your life. So overall, thoughts have no power over us unless we give them power. And thoughts are only words strung together, and they have no meaning unless we give it to them. Like the word no, for example. You can say no mindlessly, and it means just no, like it's, it's whatever, no. But you can also say it and it bring up a reaction in you, and maybe even maybe a reaction of offense, and you take offense of someone else saying no to you, or it might bring up a trigger, a childhood trigger, right? So these words, though, only have power and meaning if we give it to them. And we are the only ones that can give that meaning to them within us. And so I want us to choose to think thoughts that nourish and support ourselves. Part of self-acceptance is releasing other people's opinions. And that's another hard one. We are all even just our culture is set up for gaining approval, right? Like, I feel so good to see all of your likes and hearts and stuff in this video even. But at the same time, we have to release other people's opinions and accept ourselves. And when we accept ourselves first, honestly, then we'll get more acceptance. And so, oh no, my computer is low on battery, so just as I'm finishing this. I'm gonna tell you something. So there was she talked about this little example, and I thought it was hilarious, so I'm gonna give it to you as well. If I were with you, she says, and I kept telling you, you're a purple pig. You're a purple pig. You're a purple pig. You would either laugh at me, or you'd get annoyed and think I was crazy. So it would be most unlikely that you would ever actually think that and believe that about yourself. And to think that you are a purple pig and believe that you're a purple pig is just as far off and untrue as some of the other things that we do choose to believe about ourselves, that we've been influenced to believe and think because of other people's opinions. And so just as to believe that your self-worth is dependent on the shape of your body is your own version of believing that you're a purple pig. And that's the same as believing that you or depending on other people's reactions, believing that you are a bad person or that you are not good enough, depending on other people's reactions or emotions, which they choose to have, is the same also as believing that you're a purple pig. And so there's these things that we believe that are just as ridiculous, just as crazy, and yet we allow ourselves, because of other people's influence and opinion, to believe it about ourselves. And so often what we think of as the things that are wrong with us are really expressions of our own individuality. And I thought that this was a really strong, a really good point. But when I first read that often what we think of the things wrong with us are only our expressions of our own individuality, I had this resistance inside of me at first, because it's like, but then I realized that whenever you think about it, like in a relationship, essentially, as humans, we're all flawed, right? We are not, no one is perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect. We're all unique and individuals, and in a relationship, you simply just decide which flaws that you can live with, right? And and you just acknowledge it as that person's own uniqueness, and it's something about them, and you learn to work with and live with that, right? Whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's whatever relationship, and it's just acknowledging our differences, right? And so I thought it was a really good point, and that this uniqueness is what is special about us. And she goes on to talk about even like how in nature, in all of life, everything is so unique. Like the kind of saying that no snowflake is the same, like and no raindrop is the same, no flower is the same. Our fingerprints are all different. Like everything, we are all different. We're individually unique, and we are meant to be different, and we can accept this. And then there's no competition or comparison, right? Because we are accepting our own uniqueness, valuing our own individuality and that of others. And to try to be like anyone else, or to some same standard for everybody, is to shrivel our soul, she said. And I thought that was really powerful. And I think that it's to devalue anyone, including ourselves, because of our differences, is to shrivel our soul. And that it's for every person to decide for themselves to value their own differences and those of others. Just remembering that there is enough abundance in the world to go around, and even more abundance being created every day and every moment. And so just because we're all different, like, doesn't mean that that there's not enough abundance for every individual unique person. And a thought worth considering is that you might not know who you are truly until you begin to learn to love yourself as you are in this moment. And so just considering that. Yeah, and I think we're gonna leave off there. So we are gonna talk next week about, well, maybe I can finish this up with this part. Yeah, so we're gonna talk, wrapping this up, about putting our awareness into practice. And so we want to think thoughts that make us happy, do things that make us feel good, give ourselves what we need to feel good, be with people who make you feel good, eat things that make your body feel good, and go at a pace in your life that makes you feel good. So to be able to practice this, we have to kind of do a little preparation of planting some seeds, and those seeds are the positive affirmations, the approval of ourselves. So think for a moment, to give a good little analogy. Think for a moment of a tomato plant, A healthy plant can have over 100 tomatoes on it, which I did not know that it could have that many of one plant. And in order to get this tomato plant to have all these tomatoes on it, then we have to start with a small dried seed. And that seed doesn't look like a tomato plant, and it doesn't taste like one. And even if we didn't know for sure that this seed was for a tomato plant, then we wouldn't believe that it could be a tomato plant. Similar to the disbelief that we might have in our own self-acceptance and self-approval and self-love. And however, let's say that we plant this seed in fertile soil and water it and let the sunshine on it. Obviously, it's going to start with a little shoot, a little tiny shoot coming up, but you're not going to stomp on it and say, no, that's not a tomato plant, right? Like, it didn't pop out automatically with tomatoes. Rather, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, oh, look at that, it's growing and it's going to have a tomato soon and I can't wait. And you're going to watch it grow and you're going to be so happy. And in time, if you continue to water it and it continues to get sunshine and you pull away any weeds, then you're going to end up with a tomato plant, and it's going to have hundreds of luscious tomatoes, and it all began with that one tiny seed. And so in the same way, creating a new experience for yourself in your daily life, in the way that you experience life, you're going to plant your own seed and water it of what experience you want to create. That's your seed. And you're going to water it with affirmations, and then you're going to let sunshine of positive thoughts beam on it, and you're going to weed the garden by pulling out all of the negative thoughts and that come up. And then when you see that first little tiniest evidence of growth, you're not going to stomp on it and say that's not enough. You're going to instead look at it, look at yourself, look at that little bitty growth in you, and exclaim in the same way as you would with a little plant that you're growing, look at that, it's growing, it's working, I'm so excited, I can't wait. And even, like, clap with joy and celebrate yourself, right? That little growth. And when you watch it grow and become your desire manifested within you, you're going to feel so amazing. And even just in that process of celebrating the little growth along the way, it's going to feel so amazing. So, we're going to get into creating. This exercise is for creating the new changes. It's like changing your negative thoughts list into positive affirmations, which we talked about last time, and writing it and saying it in a present tense, right? And so, like, to say, if some things you believe are like, my life is a mess, I should get in shape, I always create problems with people I love, I wish I had enough money to travel the world after COVID. I don't have enough motivation. I should get organized. I don't do enough. I am not good enough. If any of that is something you believe, you could turn them around to like, I am willing to release the pattern in me that created these conditions. And then I am in the process of positive changes. I have a happy, fit body. I experience love, forgiveness, and positivity wherever I go. I am now saving enough money to travel the world, and I have all the motivation I need. I am now very well organized, and I have the perfect living and working space. I appreciate all that I do. I love and approve of myself. I trust and the process of life to bring me my highest good, all the things that are good that I need, and I deserve the best, and I am accepting it now. So out of all these affirmations, then you're going to start, because you're saying it as if it's true, you're going to start doing it. You're going to start making it happen. That's kind of the way our brain works. it needs things to match up, right? And so the more that we focus on that, the more we speak it into our life and over ourselves, then the more that it will happen. So we're gonna leave off there. We're gonna pick up next time with one last little exercise of for deserving your good, an exercise that helps you to speak that over yourself. And and actually, I might do that if you have an extra minute, but I'll just give you a preview first so that if you have to go, you can into next week. So, and also next week, I'm going to start kind of getting into more of the daily work and the daily challenges as they come up, and how we can implement daily little habits. So these are like overall encompassing habits that we've talked about, practices that we can do to start seeing that change in and supporting ourselves in that. And then we're going to talk more in the little daily practices. And then later we are going to do even some little meditations, actually, like on the next series of loving ourselves. I'm going to our next series is gonna be loving our growth process, and so I'm going to give us some meditations on that, and and we're gonna go through relationships and work life, and our success and prosperity. So, right, see you next week. Loved having you guys on. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hey guys, so I think that I got cut off on ending my video, but basically I look forward to seeing you next week. And if you have a minute, I would go through this last little exercise with you. If it didn't actually post the last video that I just spent the last half hour making,